My wife, the woman I've loved for years, has been living a secret double life. And now there's an unexpected pregnancy in the mix. I'm absolutely devastated, furious, and I don't even know what to do or who I can trust. Let me back up a bit. This might be long, sorry. I, 32M, have been with my wife, Sarah, 29F, for 5 years, married for 2. Up until last night, I honestly thought we had a strong, loving relationship. She was my rock, my partner in everything. We talked about starting a family soon, buying a house, all that. Sarah is, or I guess was, the kind of person who made me believe in soulmates. I idolized her. I never imagined she'd be capable of hurting me like this. We also have my best friend Mike, 33M, in the picture. Mike and I have been best friends since college, over a decade of friendship. He was the best man at our wedding, practically a brother to me. For years, Mike joined us on double dates, family holidays, you name it. I never once felt weird about how close he and Sarah were, because I trusted them completely. I actually used to brag about how drama-free and trusting our little trio was, which is just bitterly ironic now, considering they were apparently creating drama behind my back. How lucky was I, right? I feel like the biggest idiot now. The first hint that something was wrong came a few weeks ago, and I feel stupid for not catching on sooner. Sarah had been acting a little distant, but I chalked it up to stress from work. Then one night, I woke up around 2 a.m. and noticed she wasn't in bed. I found her downstairs on the couch, whispering on the phone. She jumped a mile when she saw me and hastily hung up. I remember giving her a concerned look and asking who she was talking to so late. She muttered something about a girlfriend from work who was going through a crisis. I wanted to believe her, so I let it go, but something felt off. She seemed nervous. And come to think of it, our sex life had changed too. In the past couple of months, she'd been less interested in intimacy with me. She often said she was tired or not feeling well. I tried to be understanding and not pressure her, but now I wonder if it was because she was getting it from someone else. After that, the gut feeling that something was wrong just kept growing. Little things started adding up. She changed her phone password. We used to know each other's. She started getting all dolled up to run errands. There were times she came home hours late with flimsy excuses. One night about a month ago, she came home almost 3 hours late from work. She claimed her coworker had a meltdown and she spent the evening helping her calm down. When I hugged her that night, I swear she flinched, like she felt guilty or something. And I could smell a hint of men's cologne on her shirt that definitely wasn't mine. She said it must have been from a male coworker who gave her a supportive hug. At the time, I let it slide. Why would my wife lie, right? But looking back now, I can't believe how naive I was. I tried to convince myself I was being paranoid. I even thought maybe she was planning a surprise for me. Like perhaps she was secretly arranging something for our upcoming anniversary, or, I don't know, seeing a therapist because she seemed stressed. I never in a million years suspected an affair, let alone what I actually uncovered. As the weeks went by, I noticed she and Mike were texting more often than usual, but I didn't think too much of it at first. They were friends, after all. Mike would sometimes drop by unannounced to say hi or bring us coffee, which wasn't out of the ordinary. But then one evening I casually mentioned to Sarah, "Oh, maybe we should invite Mike to go see that new movie with us on Friday." And she got really weird and quickly said he was out of town for work. That same evening, Mike had told me he couldn't hang out that weekend because his mother was sick. The conflicting stories set off alarm bells. I hate to admit it, but I started snooping, which is something I've never done before. The anxiety was eating me alive. One morning after Sarah left for work, I decided to look around for anything suspicious. I felt guilty as hell doing it. I rifled through some drawers, checked her laptop, couldn't get in, new password there too, and finally, I checked our phone bill. We have a family plan, and it shows the call/text logs. I don't know why I never noticed before, but there were hundreds of texts to a number I didn't recognize, and when I Googled it, it came up as a cheap VoIP number, possibly a burner phone or a texting app. At this point, my heart was pounding out of my chest. I had to know the truth, no matter how much it might hurt. I decided to do something I'm not proud of. I installed a small voice-activated recorder in her car. I figured if she was calling someone in private, maybe I'd catch a conversation. I also confided in my sister about my suspicions. I needed to tell someone to stay sane, and I didn't dare tell Mike, obviously. My sister urged me to confront Sarah directly, but I was in denial and wanted more evidence before accusing my wife of something so serious. That recorder was both the best and worst decision of my life. 2 days later, I retrieved it and listened to the recordings. It was mostly just radio and engine noise, but then I hit the jackpot. Or rather, I opened Pandora's box. I heard Sarah's voice and then a man's voice. They were chatting and laughing. Then things got more flirtatious. I'll spare you all the explicit details, but I heard enough to confirm that my wife was having an affair. At one point, I heard her giggle and say, "We have to be careful. He has no idea," presumably meaning me. The man's voice was a little muffled, but I froze when I heard something that sounded like the man mentioning my name. Like, what if my name finds out, in a concerned tone. It was definitely a voice I recognized. It was Mike. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. I replayed that part like 5 times, praying I was wrong. But no, it was him. My best friend. The 2 people I trusted most in the world were sneaking around behind my back, laughing about it, worrying about me finding out. I can't even describe the cocktail of rage and betrayal that coursed through me. I was shaking so badly, I almost dropped my phone that I recorded the audio onto. My first instinct was to confront them right then, but I somehow held back. Looking back, I think I was in shock. Instead of storming into my wife's workplace or driving to Mike's apartment to beat the crap out of him, trust me, I was close to doing that. I went into a kind of numb autopilot. I put the recorder back in her car to not raise suspicion yet, and just sat on the floor for a while, trembling and crying. That day was absolute hell. Pretending everything was normal around Sarah when she got home was one of the hardest things I've ever done. She acted completely normal with me, like nothing was wrong, gave me a kiss, talked about her day, even snuggled up to me on the couch while we watched TV. It made me sick to my stomach knowing what I knew. I felt like I was living with a stranger, some kind of deceitful imposter wearing my wife's face. I barely slept that night. She knocked out pretty quick. Guess sneaking around is tiring. And I just lay there next to her, staring at the ceiling, feeling like my whole world was collapsing while she slept soundly like everything was fine. I kept picturing them together and then looking at her peaceful sleeping face, and it just broke me. The next morning, I decided I needed more than an audio recording to confront them. Part of me still wanted to catch them in the act, maybe so they couldn't deny it or spin some story. Plus, I'll admit, a big part of me wanted to see their faces when they realized they were caught. I know that sounds a bit vindictive, but at this point I think anyone in my shoes would want that catharsis. So I formulated a plan. I told Sarah that I had to go out of town this past weekend to help my mom with some house repairs, completely made up. I even got my mom in on it to call in case Sarah checked. She didn't, but I was thorough. I said I'd be away from Friday morning to Sunday. I had a feeling that as soon as I was out of town, she'd sprint to be with Mike. It was the perfect opportunity for them. And oh boy, they took the bait. Friday afternoon, I parked a borrowed car a block away from our house and snuck back quietly. Sure enough, I saw an extra car in our driveway, Mike's car. My heart was pounding like a drum in my ears. I crept up to the house, and through the living room window, the blinds were partly open. They probably thought they were safe. I saw them on the couch, making out. My wife and my best friend, tangled up in each other, on the very couch where we curl up together to watch movies. I cannot even express the white-hot rage and pain I felt seeing it with my own eyes. It was like a nightmare come to life, except I was wide awake, and this was really happening. I must have made some noise, or maybe they sensed a presence, because I suddenly saw them both snap their heads toward the window. I ducked, heart hammering, and then I decided screw it. I'm not hiding like some chump. They should be the ones ashamed, not me. So I walked right up to my front door, unlocked it, and stepped inside. I'll never forget the look on their faces. Sarah practically jumped off Mike's lap, and Mike just sat there looking like he'd seen a ghost. For a second, none of us said anything. I think I said something quiet like, "So this is what's going on, huh?" But I was eerily calm at that moment, like the calm before a storm. Sarah started babbling instantly. "Oh my God, it's not what it looks like. I can explain." "Really?" "It was exactly what it looked like." Mike started in with, "Bro, I'm so sorry. I can explain, please." Both of them talking over each other, walking toward me with these pleading hands extended, like I was going to just magically forgive them or something. Then reality fully hit, and I exploded. I don't even remember everything I said. I was yelling like a madman. I know I screamed things like, "How could you do this to me?" To me, and you were my wife. You were my best friend, among a lot of other probably incoherent things peppered with every curse word I know. I'll admit, I called them some horrible names in the moment. Not proud of it, but I'm pretty sure most would understand my rage. At one point, Mike tried to put a hand on my shoulder, maybe to calm me down, and I shoved him so hard he tripped over the coffee table and fell on his ass. He didn't try to touch me after that. For what it's worth, I'm not a violent guy. I've never hit anyone in my life. But in that moment, I might have actually killed him if he fought back. Thank God he just stayed down. Sarah was crying and saying, "I'm sorry, I'm so sorry," over and over. But then she had the audacity to start making excuses. She said something like, "We never meant to hurt you. It just happened. I was lonely because you work so much." Which is just BS. Yes, I've been working overtime lately, but only because we're saving for a house, and I thought we were on the same page about that. Never once did she tell me she felt lonely or that she was unhappy with me. Instead, she decided sleeping with my best friend behind my back was a reasonable solution. Mike, the coward, kept mostly silent except to mutter that it started a few months ago and was a mistake. A mistake that they repeated over and over again, apparently. Here's the kicker. In the middle of all the yelling and crying, I noticed something on the coffee table that made my heart drop even further, if that was possible. A small, gift-wrapped box. I recognized the wrapping paper. It was the same paper we still have from Christmas last year. I managed to shout, "What the hell is this?" Neither of them answered, so I snatched it up and ripped it open. Inside was a baby onesie that said, "Daddy's little buddy," and a folded card. My stomach flipped. I opened the card, and my vision literally blurred as I read it. It was basically, "Surprise. I'm pregnant. You're going to be a dad." It was addressed to me, from Sarah. I swear I nearly fainted right then and there. I just stared at her and croaked out, "You're pregnant?" My voice had suddenly gone quiet, shock taking over. She stopped blubbering and just nodded, tears streaming down her face. She said, "I just found out a few days ago. I was going to surprise you this weekend. That's what the gift was." I felt like the room was spinning. This is insane, but my very first thought was actually joy. Like I'm going to be a dad? Because we've talked about kids for so long, and I've always wanted to be a father. But that split second of joy was immediately obliterated by a tidal wave of reality. If she's pregnant, how could I possibly be sure it's mine? So I ask, voice trembling with anger and hurt, Is it mine?" She looked offended I would even ask, the nerve, and swore up and down that of course it's mine. She never slept with Mike without protection. Oh, so sleeping with him with a condom makes it okay? What the hell, Sarah? Mike at least had the decency to look embarrassed and muttered, "She told me it was yours, man. They always use protection when we know." I can't even process how surreal it was to hear my best friend awkwardly trying to explain how he banged my wife safely so as not to knock her up. I wanted to throw up all over both of them. I was just done at that point. I told them both to get the hell out of my sight. Mike, to his credit, scrambled and practically tripped over himself to get out the door, mumbling more apologies that I didn't care to hear. Sarah was hysterical, trying to hug me, reaching out, wailing, "Please, let's talk about this, please." I backed away from her like she was poison. I remember shouting, "How could you do this?" After everything, and probably some more profanity-laced instructions for her to leave and go stay somewhere else. She begged to stay, saying we needed to talk and that she didn't want to go, but I couldn't even look at her. I think I yelled, "Get out. I can't even look at you." And she finally grabbed her purse and a jacket. She was still crying as she walked out the door, saying she was sorry over and over again. It took all my willpower not to break down until after she left. The moment she drove off, I locked the door and just collapsed. I screamed into a pillow until my throat was raw. I punched the couch cushions like they were Mike's face. Then I just sank onto the floor and bawled my eyes out. I don't remember how long I sat there on the living room floor, but the next thing I recall is calling my older brother and barely getting out. "Can I crash at your place? I can't be here right now," before I started sobbing again. He told me to come over immediately. So that's where I am now, at my brother's house, in his guest room, typing this all out because I literally can't sleep. My brother and his wife have been supportive, but I'm practically catatonic. They want to comfort me, yet I barely have the words to explain what's happened. I sure as hell can't go to work today. I haven't eaten. I feel like I might never eat again at this point. I can't believe the two people I loved and trusted more than anything suddenly betrayed me in such a calculated, deceitful way. I keep replaying it all in my head, the images, the words, and it feels like some messed up movie. Like I'm watching this poor guy's life fall apart, and then I realize that guy is me. This whole situation is like some toxic love triangle you'd see on a trashy reality show, except it's my life. My phone is constantly buzzing with texts and calls. Sarah has called me 20 plus times and sent dozens of texts, begging me to talk. She's saying she'll do anything to fix this, that she regrets it, that she cut off contact with Mike. Oh, now you do? Her texts are full of, "I love you, please let's work this out, think of our baby," etc. It's pathetic because she wasn't thinking of any of that when she was screwing around behind my back. Mike has also tried to contact me. He sent a long text basically saying he's the worst friend in the world and he hates himself and that he'll do whatever it takes to make it right. There's nothing he can do to make it right, in my opinion. I haven't responded to either of them. I just can't. Not right now. I feel utterly shattered and so angry. One minute I want to forgive her because I love her, or at least I love the person I thought she was. and a part of me desperately wants that future we planned. The house, the kid, the happy family. The next minute, I want to burn it all down, throw divorce papers in her face, and never see either of them again. But then there's this unborn child. If it is mine, I will definitely be getting a paternity test ASAP when it's medically possible. Then that child is innocent in all this. Do I try to make it work for the kid's sake? Can I even stand to look at her if I do? Could I ever trust her again after such a betrayal? Right now it feels impossible. The pain and anger are just too overwhelming. Also, what the hell do I do about Mike? This guy was supposed to be Uncle Mike to my future kids, my brother from another mother, the one person outside of my family I thought I could always count on. Now he's just a backstabbing snake to me. A part of me wants to go find him and beat the living crap out of him for doing this. Another part of me feels this deep sadness and loss, like I've not only lost my wife, I've lost my best friend too in one fell swoop. He betrayed my trust as much as she did, and he looked me in the eye so many times over these last few months and acted like everything was fine. I keep asking myself, was he always this shitty of a person and I just never saw it? How could I have been so blind? I'm sorry this is so long and all over the place. I haven't written anything like this before and my thoughts are scattered. I haven't slept properly in over 24 hours. I feel like a zombie, or like I'm going to wake up and realize this was all some insane nightmare. But it's real, and I have to deal with it. So yeah, that's where I'm at. My wife cheated on me with my best friend. She might be carrying my baby, or possibly his. Who knows at this point? My entire marriage and friendship feel like a lie. I'm broken and lost, and I wouldn't wish this feeling on my worst enemy. I don't know what to do or how to move forward from this. Do I kick her to the curb and focus on myself, even if it means potentially not being around my kid full time? Do I even consider trying to salvage this marriage for the sake of the baby, if it's mine? Is that just setting myself up for a lifetime of mistrust and misery? And what about Mike? Do I just cut him out completely, seems obvious, and move on, or confront him one last time to get closure? Any advice or perspective would be appreciated, because I am drowning here. I never thought I'd be that guy posting on Reddit about being cheated on in some dramatic triangle, but here I am. Please, if anyone has been through something remotely similar or has any wisdom, I'm all ears. I feel like my life has turned into a freaking telenovela and I can't turn it off. TLDR, found out my wife has been cheating on me with my best friend. I literally caught them in the act. Confronted them. Huge blow up. Now wife reveals she's pregnant and claims the baby is mine. They say they use protection with each other. I'm devastated and furious. Kick them out of my life for now. Not sure if I should try to work it out because of the baby or just divorce her and never speak to either of them again. Any advice welcome. Update 1. First, I want to say thank you to everyone who read and commented on my original post. I was blown away by the support and the tough love from strangers. I read every comment during my sleepless nights. Your words gave me strength and a much-needed reality check. A lot of you told me not to even think about reconciling right now, to get a lawyer, get a paternity test, an STD test, and to take care of myself. You were right on all counts. Here's what's happened since. The next day, I knew I had to take action. I took some leave from work and then started ticking off the advice checklist. I consulted a divorce attorney to understand my options, haven't filed yet, but at least I know what to expect, especially if a child is involved. I went to my doctor and got tested for STDs. I also set up an appointment with a therapist for myself because I know I'll need help processing this mess. After stabilizing a bit, I decided I needed to talk to Sarah, not to forgive her, but to get some answers and figure out how to move forward, especially with the pregnancy in play. We met 2 days after D-Day, Disaster Day, at a nearby park in the afternoon. Public place, neutral ground. I was running on no sleep and barely contained anger, but I had prepared a list of points I wanted to cover. Mainly, why she did this, the timeline, and what now. She showed up looking like hell, puffy eyes, disheveled, like she hadn't slept either. As angry as I was, seeing her so broken still tugged at my heart a little. But I reminded myself she brought this on herself. The conversation, wow, I don't even know where to start. It was intense. She even tried to kneel and beg, which I quickly shut down. I told her this was her one chance to come clean completely. No more lies, no minimizing. I needed to know what I'm dealing with if she even wants a shred of hope of me considering staying. She agreed, and she did spill a lot, if it's all to be believed. According to Sarah, the affair started about 4 months ago. It began emotionally, she says. She claims it was never planned and that she hated herself every moment of it. Hard to swallow that when she kept doing it, but that's what she said. She told me that around the time I started working overtime, about 6 months back, she was feeling lonely and neglected. She says she tried to put on a brave face, but was getting depressed. At the same time, Apparently, Mike had been going through some personal issues. He supposedly was depressed too, feeling aimless in life, etc., which is something he never really showed me. They confided in each other. It started with innocent lunches, then hanging out alone. Then one day about 4 months ago, he kissed her and she didn't stop it. She kept saying how she never intended to fall for him and that she was confused and weak, blah blah. I pressed her on the timeline and details. They first slept together a little over 3 months ago, around the time she told me she was going on that weekend work retreat, which was obviously a lie. Apparently, it was at a hotel. After that, it became a routine of sorts whenever I was busy or whenever they could sneak away. I had to just sit there and listen to this, fighting the urge to explode. She insisted that after each time, they swore it was the last, that they both felt guilty and disgusted with themselves. But then they'd do it again. I asked her how many times, and she said she doesn't know, maybe 5 to 6 times in total of actually sleeping together. Honestly, one time is too many, so the exact number kind of numbs me out. I asked her if she was in love with Mike. She adamantly said no. She claims it was lust and opportunity and emotional vulnerability, but that she never stopped loving me. Honestly, if this is how she shows love, I wouldn't want to see what she does when she stops loving someone. She kept saying I was the one she loved, that she was just so lost and stupid, and that Mike meant nothing in the grand scheme. She also said the affair was slowing down and she was close to breaking it off entirely before the pregnancy news and before I caught them. Not sure I buy that. Convenient story that she was just about to end it on her own, right? One thing that actually shocked me, Sarah said the night I caught them, when I left, she and Mike got into a huge fight with each other. She says she told him it was over and basically blamed him for ruining our marriage. According to her, Mike got angry and left her there, and they've only communicated once since then. The one time was when she told him to stay away from her and that she was going to try to reconcile with me, and he did not take that well. She showed me a string of texts. I read them on her phone. Looked legit, where he was alternately apologizing and then blaming her, and even blaming me. He said things like I was an absent husband, and that she and I were never right for each other, and he was doing her a favor, which sounds absolutely delusional. It gave me chills how quickly Mike flipped from apologetic to bitter when he realized she was dropping him. It screamed toxic, and frankly, it made me a little scared about what kind of person he really is. This was my friend of 10 plus years, and the mask has fully come off, it seems. That wasn't the only surprise. When I asked if anyone else knew about their affair, Sarah hesitated and then admitted that yes, someone did. Apparently, Mike's younger sister knew about it. She caught them together once. Ugh, and Mike basically swore her to secrecy. His sister even told Sarah to end it before it blew up, but obviously that warning was ignored. I mention this because I actually know his sister too. We all used to hang out. I'm considering reaching out to her to get more info, or even to get her help in talking sense into Mike if he keeps acting unstable. Not sure if I should involve others, but it angered me that at least one person knew and no one gave me a heads up. Anyway, we also discussed the pregnancy. She is about 6 weeks along now. She had gone to the doctor to confirm right after she got the positive test, which was 2 days before I caught them. So she was literally planning that cutesy surprise for me while cheating. I still can't wrap my head around that. The doctor apparently gave her an estimated conception window that would align more with me than with any encounter with Mike, but of course none of that is 100%. She said based on timing, she really believes it's mine. I told her flat out that words mean nothing, and we will be getting a paternity test as soon as it's possible to do so. She agreed without any fight. I've done some research and found out there's a non-invasive prenatal paternity test that can be done via blood sample from her and a cheek swab from me, and optionally Mike, after about 9 to 10 weeks of pregnancy. It's expensive, but I don't care about the cost. She actually offered to pay for it from her personal savings, maybe as a gesture of goodwill. I also told her I expect her to continue therapy. She apparently already started individual therapy on her own since this happened, and that couples therapy is off the table unless I see consistent honesty and remorse from her for months. She said she understood and will do anything. She wants me to eventually come to one of her therapy sessions so she can better explain her issues to both me and the therapist, but I'm not sure about that yet. The hardest part of that conversation, besides hearing the dirty details, was seeing her break down completely. She was sobbing so hard, she was almost hyperventilating at times. She kept trying to hold my hand or touch me. I mostly pulled away except a couple times when she just looked so pathetic and broken that I let her cling to my arm. I did tell her I appreciated her telling me, assuming it's the truth, and that for whatever it's worth, I do still care about her. But I also told her I'm nowhere near any kind of forgiveness, and I made zero promises about the future. I said my main priority right now is figuring out the baby situation and focusing on my own healing, and that she should do the same. She asked me if I hated her. I said, no, I don't hate her, but I hate what she did to me, to us, and that I honestly don't know if I can ever love her the same way again. That made her cry more. It was a very emotional, exhausting talk, but I got most of the answers I needed. As for Mike, well, after talking with Sarah, I decided I also wanted to confront him one-on-one. Part of me never wants to see his face again, but another part needed to personally let him know what I think of him and hear his side, though I suspect I already knew it from Sarah. I didn't want to meet him in person because I was afraid I might actually punch him, so I called him. He sounded miserable on the phone, but honestly, I have a hard time feeling bad for him at all. I unloaded on him. I told him he's a disgusting traitor, that he not only destroyed our friendship, but hurt me more deeply than anyone ever has. He kept saying, I know, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. He said that he's been a wreck and even had to tell his parents and another close friend because he had a panic attack from the guilt. Side note, his parents even reached out to me later to apologize on his behalf, which was awkward. They are good people and are furious with him. His mom was in tears on the phone with me. It was actually kind of sad. They basically told me Mike confessed everything to them and he's going to therapy too. Good, I guess. But anyway, during our call, I demanded to know what the hell he was thinking. Why would he do this to me? His initial answer was the typical cheater script. He was depressed. He felt an unexpected connection with Sarah as they confided in each other. One thing led to another, etc. He said he never meant to fall in love with her. Interesting, he used fall in love, whereas she insists it wasn't love. Who is lying? He did say something that made me want to reach through the phone and strangle him. He actually tried to justify it by saying, I honestly thought you two were having problems, and maybe you didn't love her anymore. I was like, so your solution is to fuck her? Some friend you are. I asked where on earth he got the idea that I didn't love her. And here's another bombshell. He claims that Sarah was venting to him about me, saying that I was distant and might not love her as much anymore. Basically, each of them told me it was the other who painted me as the neglectful, uncaring spouse. This pisses me off to no end. Maybe they're both lying to cover their own asses, or maybe they fed each other's narrative that I was the bad guy to justify their affair. I don't know. All I know is I was busting my ass working overtime to provide for our future, and apparently that translated to neglect. At the end of the call, I told Mike that I never want to see or hear from him again, at least not for the foreseeable future. I did tell him about the paternity test plan, and that if by some chance the baby is his, we'll have to deal with that, and he better be ready to man up for the kid. He said of course he would, but part of me doubts he has it in him to be responsible even if it is his. For what it's worth, Sarah also told me if it's somehow Mike's, she has zero intention of being with him anyway and would pursue custody/child support, etc., not a relationship. I believe that, because the shine has really worn off that affair now in the cold light of day. I've also started telling a few close people in my life what happened. It's embarrassing, but I know I need support. My brother knows everything. I also confided in one mutual friend, not super close to Mike, more my buddy, and he was livid. He basically said, if you don't beat Mike's ass, I will. Not condoning violence, but the loyalty is appreciated. As for Sarah, I haven't spoken to her family yet. She begged me for a little time to tell her parents herself before I talked to them. I said fine, she can have that. Apparently, she told her older sister, who then told their mom. And from what I hear, her mom cried for 2 days straight and is urging Sarah to fix things with me. Her dad is a more old school guy. I have a feeling he's absolutely furious with her. I haven't interacted with them yet though. So, where does that leave things now? To be honest, still in limbo, but at least the initial shock has worn off and I have more information. I'm still staying at my brother's. I told Sarah I'm not coming home, at least not for a good while. I might go pack more of my clothes when I know she's not there. She's staying with her sister currently. We agreed to basically separate for now. I have not decided on divorce yet. Some of you will probably call me weak for not just dropping divorce papers on her immediately. I get it. Part of me wants to. But another part of me is just conflicted because of the years we spent together and because of the baby possibility. I'm taking things one step at a time. I figure there's no rush to decide this week or even this month. I want to see what the paternity test says. I want to see if her actions match her words in terms of changing, though I'm not sure what change looks like for a cheater except not cheating. And mostly, I need to see how I feel when the anger settles. Right now, I oscillate between deep hurt and anger and a weird numbness. I don't think I could even consider reconciliation unless I felt genuinely like trust could be rebuilt, and I have no idea if that's possible. I'm not sure it is. I did tell Sarah not to hold out much hope, that this might very well end in divorce. and she said she understands. She even said she'll accept it, though she would fight to keep me in her and the baby's life in any capacity. She said she hopes for the best, but is preparing for the worst, which I think is wise for both of us. One more thing. A lot of people urged me to not make any decisions solely out of fear for the baby or because of nostalgia. I'm really taking that to heart. The child, if mine, deserves a loving home, but that might not mean with parents who are together. I won't stay just out of obligation. I know that would breed resentment. If we try to reconcile, it will be because I see true remorse, effort, and I find it in me to forgive a tall order. If I can't, then divorce it is, and I'll co-parent as best I can. It's weird, a week ago I was daydreaming about baby names with my wife. Now I'm researching custody lawyers. Life comes at you fast. Anyway, I'm sorry this update became a novel too. There's just so much that happened and so many emotions flying around. I'll update again whenever we get the paternity results or if something major happens. Right now, I'm focusing on taking care of myself, continuing therapy, and not doing anything too hasty while emotions are still high. To everyone who encouraged me to stay strong, thank you. I have moments of weakness where I start to miss the woman I thought I knew, or I get sentimental about our good times. It's really hard to reconcile that the person I loved did this. But I'm remembering all the advice. Love yourself first, know your worth, and don't accept less than you deserve. No matter what happens with my marriage, I'm going to be okay eventually. It's just going to be one hell of a journey to get there. We'll continue to update as things progress. And seriously, thank you all again. You have no idea how much your words helped me steel my spine during the worst days of my life. Update 2. I honestly did not expect to be back with another update so soon, but the situation escalated in ways I couldn't have imagined. Buckle up, because this is a wild one, even more than before. First things first, we got the prenatal paternity test results back. After an agonizing 2-week wait, it turns out I am the father. The baby is mine. When I got the news, I had the most mixed wave of emotions ever. On one hand, I was actually happy. I really do want to be a dad, and the idea of this child being mine felt like a tiny ray of light in all this darkness. On the other hand, knowing the baby is mine meant my ties to Sarah are that much stronger, which made the decision of what to do about my marriage even more complicated. A part of me had almost hoped the baby wasn't mine so I could walk away clean. But as fate would have it, I'm going to be a father. So, with that information, I had to make some decisions. I didn't, and still haven't, forgiven Sarah completely, but I also know that I want to be there for my child from day one. After a lot of thought and counseling sessions, I decided not to file for divorce at least until after the baby is born. I told Sarah this, that we are essentially on a probationary period. I will be civil and supportive through the pregnancy, and will attend couples therapy to see if there's any chance of rebuilding trust. But I made no promises about staying married long-term. If at any point I feel like it's not working or she isn't 100% remorseful and transparent, I will walk. She agreed and said she's grateful for even a chance to prove herself. Surprisingly, the last month or so had been relatively calm, for a short while anyway. Sarah and I have been cordial. I moved back into our house, but I'm sleeping in the guest room. It's awkward, yes, but we're managing. We even started doing some baby prep together, like browsing for cribs and discussing names. Surreal, I know. She's been continuing therapy, and we started couples counseling too. I can tell she's trying really hard to rebuild trust. She gives me full access to her phone and accounts now, updates me on her whereabouts without me even asking, and basically is doing everything she can to reassure me. I still have my guard up, but I appreciate the effort. Now on to Mike. Because of course he wasn't going to slink away quietly. Not after losing both me as a friend and Sarah as whatever he thought she was to him. For a little while, he actually went dark. After our last confrontation, we didn't hear from him for weeks. I hoped he had finally gotten the message and would leave us alone. Unfortunately, that was wishful thinking. About 3 weeks after the paternity results and me moving back home, Sarah started getting strange calls and messages from unknown numbers. At first, she didn't share this with me. Later, she admitted she was afraid to stress me out because things between us were tentatively improving. But when the messages became more frequent, she showed them to me. It was obvious they were from Mike. He made weird references only he would make, even though he never outright signed his name. He would alternate between begging for her back and angrily accusing her of lying to him about loving him and even trash-talking me. Example, "You're really going to raise his kid and pretend I never mattered, and I hope you're miserable with that loser. You're meant to be with me." It was disturbing, to say the least. We decided to not respond at all and instead documented everything. I have to admit, this crap set back some of the progress Sarah and I were making. It terrified her and made me absolutely furious. We both felt constantly on edge, like Mike was this looming threat in the background. We contacted a lawyer, and given the evidence of harassment, we were able to get a temporary restraining order against him pretty quickly. He was officially ordered to stay away from us, our home, and for good measure, my workplace, just in case. For a short time after he was served the restraining order, things got quiet again. I remember thinking, maybe that scared him off. I even wrote out a whole update post last week that was basically, "Baby is mine. We have a tentative plan. Mike is being a creep, but we got a restraining order. Hopefully that's the end of it." But I held off on posting, and now I'm glad I did because holy hell, things went from bad to worse in the past few days. A few nights ago, Sarah and I were at home. We had just finished dinner, the first meal we actually cooked together in forever. It was oddly domestic and peaceful. We settled in the living room to watch a movie. That's when I heard a noise outside, like something knocking over. I sat up and immediately a bad feeling washed over me. A second later, our doorbell started ringing in a frantic way, over and over. We froze and looked at each other. My gut told me right away, it was Mike. I went to the door, not opening it, just speaking through it. I shouted, "Mike, if that's you, you need to leave. You're violating the restraining order." He shouted back from the other side of the door, something along the lines of, "I just want to talk. Please." His voice sounded unhinged. He was slurring his words like he might have been drinking. I told him, "Go away or I'm calling the police." I already had my phone in hand, ready to dial. Suddenly, there was a loud bang. He was ramming himself against the door. I could hear wood splintering, and I realized he might actually break it down. I told Sarah to go upstairs and lock herself in a safe room and call 999. I was terrified, but adrenaline kicked in. As Sarah ran upstairs, I braced myself against the front door, trying to keep it shut. Mike slammed into it again, and it burst open, knocking me backward. He stumbled in, wild-eyed and clearly drunk. He started yelling about how we ruined everything. I tried to push him back out, but a physical fight broke out between us immediately. I'm not a big guy, and he had drunken strength, so we traded blows and crashed into a table. Then I heard Sarah scream from the stairs, "Stop." I saw her halfway down the staircase, terrified. In that split second, Mike shoved me aside and rushed toward her. He grabbed her arm, and she tried to pull away. I shouted and lunged at him, but he shoved her hard. Sarah lost her balance and tumbled down the last few steps, landing hard. She let out a blood-curdling scream. I saw red. I tackled Mike to the ground and started pummeling him, roaring, "She's pregnant. You son of a dash." Honestly, I might have beaten him to death if the police hadn't burst in right then. Her emergency call had gone through. The officers pulled me off of Mike. He was a bloody mess by that point, groaning and cursing. They cuffed him and dragged him out. One officer had to basically hold me back because I was in such a rage, I was ready to go after Mike again. Another officer went to attend to Sarah, who was lying on the floor at the bottom of the stairs, crying and holding her belly. I immediately snapped out of fight mode and ran to her. She was sobbing, saying, my baby, my baby." I was terrified out of my mind. There was no visible blood, but I know any fall like that can be dangerous for the pregnancy. Paramedics arrived within minutes and rushed her to the hospital. I rode with her in the ambulance, absolutely beside myself with fear and guilt. Guilt because I felt like I hadn't been able to protect her or our baby from that maniac. Those were the scariest hours of my life, waiting in the hospital as they ran tests on her and the baby. I was pacing the waiting room, imagining the worst and blaming myself for not stopping Mike sooner. Finally, a doctor told us that thank God the baby was okay. They kept Sarah overnight for observation, but miraculously there were no immediate signs of a miscarriage or any serious injury. I cannot describe the relief. I broke down sobbing in gratitude. Sarah burst into tears as well, and we just held each other, all the fear and stress pouring out. She kept saying, "I'm so sorry," and I kept saying, "I'm sorry I didn't protect you." We were both a mess, but in that moment I realized I still love her so much. Nearly losing her and our child put everything in perspective. It doesn't erase her betrayal, but it showed me that I might truly be able to forgive her someday. Mike was arrested on the spot and is now in jail. He's facing multiple serious charges: assault, home invasion, attacking a pregnant woman, etc., and the police caught him in the act. I can't believe I was ever friends with him. It's like he turned into a complete monster. As for me and Sarah, surviving that ordeal has brought us somewhat closer. There is still a lot to work through, but now I want to work through it, where before I had one foot out the door. We had an emergency joint therapy session to help process the attack, and it reinforced how genuinely remorseful and horrified Sarah is by everything. She says she wakes up every day filled with guilt for what she did and will spend her life trying to make it right. I told her I can't promise what our future holds, only that I'll be here for our child and we'll take things day by day. I have definitely softened toward her. I see more of the woman I fell in love with, not just the person who hurt me. Maybe we have a real shot at making this marriage work in time. For now, we're taking it one day at a time. The focus is on her recovery. She's bruised and shaken, but okay. And on the pregnancy. We found out we're having a little girl, and thankfully she's doing well. I'm still in the guest room, but honestly I spend most of my time by Sarah's side anyway, especially since she's been anxious after the attack. I've been doting on her a lot, probably too much, as she half-jokingly reminds me she's pregnant, not broken. These tender moments are something I never thought we'd share again. Will I ever trust her completely again? I honestly don't know. It will take a long time and a lot of effort. But I've decided to stand by her for now and give our family a real chance, especially with our daughter on the way. Some will say I'm crazy for staying, and maybe I am. But after going through hell and back together, I'm choosing to believe people can change and that we can grow past this. Only time will tell if I'm right. The toxic love triangle is finally over. Mike is gone for good, and now it's just about us picking up the pieces and moving forward. It won't be easy and there are no guarantees, but as I sit here next to my recovering wife, feeling our baby girl kick under my hand, for the first time, just this morning, I feel something I haven't felt in a long time: hope.